Alright, Dan was gracious enough to give me a second chance at the battle, but with British, 71 points again. One thing I forgot to mention in the last game that he had, he's got his two platoons of M1441s, Commander M1441s, 6 Semavantes, and Stukas. That's something that really messed up my Shermans in the last game. But here he's got the same exact setup where he's got his tanks on either side. I put my cavalry division together over here. This is actually boys anti-tank universal carriers. On the other side, you can see that I've got my other unit. I've got a unit of Crusaders, Crusader 2 and 2 Crusader 3s. And then I've got a platoon of Grants and my HQ platoon over here. He does the same setup, and I think he had the first turn, so he moves up his guys into position. Some Avantis are there on the right to fire on my guys on his turn 1. Oh, I have some 17 pounders that were over here on the hill, and they would take pot shots at anybody that they could during the game. And here is my 17 pounders on the hill protecting an objective. Alright, so I roll up my tanks up here on the hill. We start blasting away at each other. My Hurricanes come in and start working on the Semavantes. I also use my Grants as much as possible on these Semavantes because they did such a great job against my Shermans in the last game. But I also took out one of his regular tanks over here. On the other side, I moved my my Crusaders here and my Universal Carriers there, just in case he decides to swing around, but he didn't. And then my 17 pounder was able to destroy this guy right here, and this 17 pounder shot over, I believe it was the one that took out that one tank in the other picture. And as you can see, the Semavantes and even the tanks started working on those Grants almost immediately. They blew up 2 of the tanks, which means that this guy right here was going to be rolling for the rest of the game to stay on the board. One thing I want you to note that this guy is actually up here on the hill. He kept sliding down. It was a real pain. Also, one of my HQ guys right here got bailed out. So it was a pretty devastating round. Fortunately, the guy on the right is going to be getting rerolls, and that'll save him for a while. On my next turn, I'm only able to take out this tank right here. Oops, I wanted to use this one. Right there, I'm only able to take that tank. And as you can see right here, these dice over here means I bailed them out. Yeah, bailing out Italian tanks, especially when you get a reroll. This guy is sitting right there giving rerolls to all these 2 platoons here. So I believe they're getting back in on 3s because they're fearless and with a reroll. And then, of course, the tanks in front of the commander are 2 up to get back in. So bailing out, oh yeah, and all 3 of these guys, actually, if you see the dice here, they were bailed out as well. And they would, I think, almost all of them get right back in. So that was a real disheartening thing there. I was so close to just totally wiping out his force. So on his next turn, the tickle fight continues. He's able to bail out this tank, and that's it. Of course, all his guys got back in. Meanwhile, on the other side, he was able to take out a Universal Carrier as I'm trying to sneak up behind some of this cover to try to catch this platoon right here that's protecting the objective over here. So that's where I stand right now. I'm going to try to jump him on my next turn. So on my next turn, I start blowing up some of his guys here. His Semavante is ready to break. I just got to get it down to 1 more, and then he starts taking checks. 2 more and they're gone, and that will be a huge blow because then he's going to have to flank me in order to beat my tanks. The other tanks, the Crusaders, are able to take out this tank right here, and this platoon is down to 2 tanks, so things are getting very dicey for the Italians. On the other side, I was able to come in and flank. So I brought in all these Crusaders from here. The Universal Carriers came up from here to try to flank, and I was able to catch this one tank. This one got bailed, but as you know, that's, even without rerolls, getting back in twos is amazing. One thing that is missing, though, is that there is one bailed out Crusader back here that you can't see. Okay, so now here's where tactics really come in. He pulls his guys off the hill, he brings his Semovantes behind the hill, and they start shooting at my Crusaders from the rear. He's able to kill this Crusader and bail out this Crusader. And for the love of Pete, I'm only able to bail these two Semovantes and cannot kill them. I had them dead to rights and couldn't make 3-up firepower saves or checks. On the other side of the board, I start flanking with my tanks to get some side armor shots, and as you can see here, I bailed out these guys and just couldn't kill them. He's down to 2 tanks. I've just got to kill one of them to get him to test. He doesn't have his leader near him, and I think they run away on 4s if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I just need to kill one. I mean, the Italians are ready to break. They're ready to go. Alright, so now he takes his panzers and loops them around here to get around my tanks, gets side armor shots. He's able to, he has his own bad luck here, as he's only able to bail out the 2 Universal Carriers and this Crusader. So I'm liking my chances. Again, this is a cavalry group, so I've got my commander there giving rerolls, so we should be able to get back in. Then on my turn, I just turned my turrets around and just fired at him. I finally was able to bring up this guy who was bailed out back into the action. I don't think he got to fire. I think he was moving at the double to get back into command. But as you can see, again, I just cannot make a firepower check to save my life. I think I rolled I think we marked it there, 1 and a 3. Just could not kill a stinking Italian tank. It was, those firepowers can be very frustrating. This guy right here did not get back into, he was still bailed out, so he was out of action. So that's how it was going on this side of the battle. Alright, so I finally swing my, sorry about that. I finally swing my Crusaders around. What you don't see is that the last Grant ran away on that platoon, so it's just the HQ and these Crusaders. We ran out of time and we had to call it, unfortunately. It was a really cool game. I like the way that the Crusaders match up with the Italians. It made a lot of fun, a lot of a lot of humorous back and forths because of the 4-up firepower and him getting back in, and even though I had better tanks, it was a real disadvantage. If you're not making those firepowers, it makes things very difficult. But it was a pretty bloody battle. Had them right at the edge of breaking. I do think that over here at the very end, he was able to finally kill off my my Crusaders, and he was starting to work on these guys right here with his Semovantes. But we just had to get going, unfortunately, and not see how it ended up. At that point, I think I had lost several platoons. I lost 3 platoons, and he had not lost any yet. So that's how it ended. Thanks for watching. I do have another battle coming up, which I do complete. This is the only one I did not complete. So I hope you enjoyed it.